In May 2025, a leaked clip from Thailand surfaced, showing Jon Jones saying just 2 words that sent shockwaves through the entire fight world. What happened next uncovered whispers of secret $30 million deals, accusations that the UFC had hidden his retirement, and claims that Jones walked away from the biggest challenge of his career. But what he revealed afterward flipped everything on its head, a retirement bombshell that stunned the MMA community. In May 2025, the mixed martial arts world was shaken to its foundation when leaked footage emerged of UFC heavyweight champion Jon Jones making a jaw-dropping statement that would ripple through the entire combat sports scene. Filmed during what looked like a casual chat in Thailand, the clip showed Jones calmly saying 2 simple words that would change everything. Now here's where things get really interesting, folks. This wasn't just any fighter considering hanging up the gloves after a tough loss. No, this was Jon Jones, a man hailed as one of the greatest fighters in MMA history, with a 28-1 record and 1 no contest, who had just defended his heavyweight title. This was a champion at his peak, walking away on his own terms. And the story behind his exit revealed a mix of intense negotiations, strategic power plays, and claims that the UFC had been keeping fans in the dark for months. The bombshell didn't just drop out of nowhere. It followed weeks of cryptic posts that had MMA fans buzzing. Jones had taken to X, formerly Twitter, with a statement that, in hindsight, was almost prophetic. "I told the UFC my plans a long time ago. I have no clue why they haven't shared them with you guys yet." This wasn't just a dramatic flourish. It was a direct shot at the UFC, a billion-dollar promotion built on Jones's dominance, accusing them of hiding the truth from the fans, who had stood by both the fighter and the brand for years. When veteran MMA journalist Ariel Helwani broke down the footage on his show, the implications were explosive. There it was, visual proof that Jones had made his decision to retire long before most inside the UFC even knew. And the timing? It couldn't have been more dramatic, coming right as the UFC was hyping up a unification bout between Jones and interim heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall, a fight Dana White had hyped as the biggest in heavyweight history.
I have no inside information, but I don't know that Jon Jones really gives a rip if they strip.
To understand why this rocked the sport so hard, you need to remember exactly who Jon Jones is in MMA's history books. He became UFC light heavyweight champion at just 23, the youngest in UFC history, and defended that belt 13 times across 2 reigns. Legends like Daniel Cormier, Alexander Gustafsson, Quinton, Rampage, Jackson, and Lyoto Machida all fell to his unique mix of size, reach, precision striking, and creative grappling. When Jones moved up to heavyweight in 2023, it wasn't because he had to. It was because there were new mountains to conquer. At UFC 285, he submitted Cyril Gane in the first round with a guillotine choke, claiming the vacant heavyweight crown and proving his skills translated to the land of giants. The financial stakes around Jones were massive. His presence alone could generate $10 to $15 million in gate revenue, not even counting PPV sales or international rights. When UFC 309 happened in November 2024, where Jones stopped Stipe Miocic in round 3, the event raked in $15 million at the gate, showing he was still a top draw at 37. But then the story took a sharp twist. Early 2025 reports revealed that Jones demanded a jaw-dropping $30 million to face Tom Aspinall. For context, that dwarfs the $5 to $10 million most top stars, like Conor McGregor, make. Many believed it was Jones's way of pricing himself out. But the UFC didn't flinch. With backing from Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, they not only met his demand, they reportedly went as high as $50 million, including PPD points and bonuses. A historic moment. This could have redefined fighter pay. Jones initially agreed. Contracts were drafted for a blockbuster July 2025 showdown at Madison Square Garden. It was set to be the biggest heavyweight fight ever, youth versus experience, knockout power versus veteran craft. Then, just days later, Jones pulled out. The MMA world froze. What could make someone walk away from $30 to $50 million for one night of work? The speculation exploded. And when Dana White finally confirmed Jones's retirement in June 2025, the storm got louder. White admitted they had known for months, confirming Jones's earlier accusations. The UFC had kept him as active champion, while knowing he planned to retire. That raised serious questions. Why keep hyping a fight they knew might not happen? Why leave Aspinall hanging? Jones didn't stay quiet either. His post, "This desperation is incredibly lucrative," was a not-so-subtle flex. He'd profited off the hype without even fighting.
I find him annoying, and I mean, he just, you know, I've been here for so long. He just got to the UFC not too long ago, and if he wanted to fight me, he could have been here. I was like, where have you been all this time? At the end of the day, he has no real standout legacy. I think the only guy he beat was Andrei Arlovski. Andrei was very old at the time. He really has nothing that entices me. Nothing. He reminds me of a bunch of other up-and-comers that I fought that it does nothing for my legacy. Really.
Now let's talk about Tom Aspinall, the rising British wrecking machine. With a 93% finish rate and 14 of 15 wins by stoppage, he wasn't just another contender. He was the most dangerous man in the division. His speed, youth, knockout power, and ground game were unlike anything Jones had faced. While Aspinall was smashing Curtis Blades in July 2024, Jones was chilling in Thailand, training casually. It set up the big question. Was Jon Jones ducking Tom Aspinall? The accusations came fast. He demanded a record purse, got it, and still walked away. Ariel Helwani reported Jones hoped they wouldn't meet his number, meaning the $30 million was a built-in escape hatch. Even Daniel Cormier hinted Jones might have genuinely feared a knockout loss. At 38, after pectoral surgery, facing a knockout artist at his prime could end his spotless legacy. And legacy? That's everything to Jon Jones. Jones denied it all, of course. He claimed he only wanted legacy fights, like Alex Pereira, established names, not hungry lions. But to many fans, that sounded like cherry-picking. Aspinall wasn't random. He was interim champ. And in combat sports, undisputed champs fight interim champs. Period. The backlash was brutal. Petitions with over 140,000 signatures called for Jones to be stripped. At UFC 316, fans chanted, "Strip Jon Jones!" A shocking turn for someone once praised as the pound-for-pound king. It didn't help that this wasn't Jones's first. Convenient timing. Fans remembered how he moved up only after Francis Ngannou left the UFC. Curtis Blades offered a calmer view, saying maybe it wasn't fear but calculation. Jones had earned the right to pick his fights. But fans? They weren't buying it. They wanted a historic fight, and felt robbed. Stylistically, this fight would have been electric. Jones with his 84.5-inch reach, oblique kicks, and surgical elbows. Aspinall with lightning speed and scary one-shot power. One mistake could have ended everything. Aspinall handled it with grace. He wished Jones well, expressed disappointment, but vowed not to let it define his career. The debate, however, raged on. Polls showed 60% of fans believed Jones avoided the fight out of fear or self-interest, while 40% defended him. Then came the legacy talk. Jones's brilliance is undeniable. 13 title defenses, dominance across divisions. But his career was always shadowed by controversy, failed drug tests, arrests, hit-and-run charges. His talent built a legacy. His actions made it complicated. The UFC knew he was a gold mine, but also a PR nightmare. And that's why, many believe, they hid his retirement plans. Keeping him as champion meant keeping their star alive, even if he wasn't fighting. Meanwhile, Aspinall and the rest of the division were stuck in limbo, waiting for a fight that was never going to happen. Saudi investment changed the money game in MMA. $30 million demands became realistic. But Jones proved money wasn't the issue. It was legacy, risk, and